Hello everyone, welcome back to TTTV F1. You're watching round number 11 of TTL, round number 11, round number 5 of season 11, that's what I meant, of TTL. My name is Kieran McGinley and joining me in the studio is Aaron. Aaron, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. It's going to be a pleasure and a very fun race.
Absolutely. We come to round 5 then, and Spike at the top of the table, 75 points, incredible form, winning the last 3 races back to back. He said Baku was one of the most hated tracks, but he still managed to get a race win there, so I shouldn't imagine it's too bad for him then.
Well, obviously some people have their preferred tracks. Some people have their hated tracks, and he's been lucky enough to pull off a win on a track that he doesn't like, which will definitely give him a huge confidence boost going into tracks that he does like.
Absolutely. What do you reckon then? Can Spike make it 4 on the trot?
Yeah, my money's on him, on what he can do.
Great stuff. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting season as so far, I should say. Obviously, Spike retired in the very first race at what is now the infamous Spike Corner on the exit of turn 12. But he's recovered well, and we have a really tight championship battle on our hands. Lambo's got a pretty decent start. I know it's only 4 races. We've had 4 rounds, but the title race is shaping up very nicely.
Yep, a very close Lambo was one of my favourites when I first came into competitive league, but Spike has shown great performances and something that I didn't expect for him to be at the top.
Absolutely. Well, Aaron, since you're here, why don't you talk us through the track?
Well, of course, it's one of these short tracks. On the calendar, qualifying time should be around the low minute 1:16, if not half. 1 minute 15 is quite harsh, especially coming to the final sector. Very easy to invalidate the final chicane as well, so some people may struggle.
Yeah, nice one. I'm just trying to send out a tweet right now, which is why I'm so mute. Always a challenge when your internet and bandwidth is just very unpredictable at the best of times. But we should have an interesting week coming up. Spain today, and then on Thursday is the dreaded Monaco Grand Prix. But we'll get onto that when we get to it, Aaron. And hopefully you'll be joining us for Thursday. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I'll be okay on Thursday.
Great stuff. Right then, I should probably get up some... oh, they're all waiting for me, that's why. For me to select spectator. Completely not with it today. I'm ready now, guys. There we go. Oh dear. That's that. You know what? I've never made that error before, but there you go. I expect, Aaron, you've got much better internet than I have. So it might be worth you keeping an eye on the chat and seeing if anybody pops up with anything. Obviously, if you've got any questions, obviously there's 2 of us here, so we could probably get around to answering any of the questions you have. But I will quickly get up the drivers' table, see if I can find it in the mass of... Ah, that's right. They were voting, by the way, all the drivers, whether to have Monaco. What would you prefer, night or day at Monaco?
Well, preferably a transition between day to night would probably spice it up, but night is very more difficult for the drivers. I think it would be a good challenge to have it at night, and somewhat different for, of course, the commentators' perspective as well.
Absolutely. Well, we're back to the days of before season number 10, where we have to pretty much guess what the weather is going to be. It did go off AccuWeather's data, but today it's a totally different story. We rely on the game's weather system, so we're totally in the dark, Aaron. I haven't seen any rain as of yet, but Hopefully that won't be too bad, and maybe there might be something around the corner. Maze asks, what's the most record for most pit stop? I believe you know that answer, Maze, but it is Steph. 9 pit stops in one race. That's the record. Hopefully no one will beat it today. 15 drivers here in the Spanish Grand Prix, and well, I'll have to ask you now, Aaron. Who's your pick for today's race?
Qualifying, I'm going to go Lambo, race, Spike.
Oh, that's interesting. So you don't think you think Lambo's got the 1 lap pace then?
Yeah. Strategy's also quite a big difference. I think 2 stops for the top 10 and a 1 stop for anyone who qualifies on different tyre. People who qualify on the softest tyre will have to do 1 stops, and anyone on the medium or the harder tyre compound will have to do can do 1 stops.
Absolutely. Well, the tyres available this weekend: super soft, soft and medium tyres, and Squeezy Lemon was the first driver out on track on the super soft tyre. At the moment, Siege looks like he's trying to go out on a set of soft tyres, always trying the alternate strategy. How do you see the alternate strategy working today then, Aaron? Is it one to go for?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one to go for. If you can qualify in the top 10 on the soft compound tyres, then you're probably in for the race winning strategy, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, Spain's always been one of those tracks that all the drivers love. It's a very balanced circuit, always a challenge for the cars and the drivers to get exactly the right setup. Perfect balance of speed and corners to make it a great ground for testing and pre-season testing especially. So if you had to choose between having the grip in the high-speed corners or the speed down the long straight, Aaron, what would you pick?
I would pick the more downforce in the corners. I think it's Euroline, especially the long right hand.
Then as he heads through turn number 3, oh, Aaron, your mic's gone a bit haywire there, as here comes Cease coming into turn 4. Really annoying. I don't know whether it's just my connection, but Siege right now, whenever I ride the onboard, is right on the limiter, which is absolutely not true, but there we go. Squeezy Lemon, meanwhile, his rev counter seems to be absolutely fine as he heads down towards turn 10, and using as much of the ERS as possible. Of course, for the drivers, by now they've gotten used to the ERS. A lot of practice goes in now to using the ERS. Lots of race sim has to go into when and where to use it. Spike up ahead of Squeezy though, and he's probably setting himself up for a lap here. And I don't know, is Squeezy being held up there as Spike dives out of the way back into the pit lane? Oh, I think maybe Squeezy might have a couple of words with him, but he heads towards the line. It's a 1:17.7 as the clouds are looming over the Spanish circuit.
Decent lap there from Squeezy. Siege follows in the second behind.
Yes, from on those soft tyres, so that's well, that might be the difference between them. You never know. Let's see who else is on a lap. There's Damien there, 1:20.6. Expect to see him go for another run. And is that a number 1 on the car of George Roberts? Has he already won a Drivers' Championship in the game? I believe he has. The game's only been out for a month. That's quick work from George Roberts. Let's see if the number 1 brings him a little bit of luck in this race then. Steph going P3, now P4 with a 1:19.5, and Lambo 7/10 faster than anybody else. Top of the table, 1:17.0.
But those are the times that we're expecting. Of course, Lambo can probably improve. That's just a first lap. He'll have 2 more runs on fresher super soft tyres.
Absolutely. Well, Technique Gaming has already set a lap on his super soft tyres, but he runs wide. Oh, loses that back end. Into the gravel he goes, and around he goes on the exit of turn 3. Kept out of the wall though, but he will have to come back to the pits for a new set of tyres. Just dropped the back end, seemed, out of turn 3. So, bit of a mistake from him, but he will have to come back to the pits now. Those tyres are done.
Could have been a bad choice in setup, maybe running his ballast too high or too little wings.
Yeah, it could be. I didn't quite get the onboard, so I didn't quite see what happened, but yeah, gravel is not the place you want to be, especially in qualifying. Poe there, 1:17.2. puts himself into second place in the Renault. George Roberts has left the session. Well then, this happened last time I was commentating and he never came back, so hopefully this time he will come back. Z3 heading through sector 3 now as we head towards turn 13 and into the chicane of 14 and 15. And when it was changed over all those years ago, people hated it. They hated that chicane there. But here comes Z3 towards the start finish line. It's a 1:18.3 and it puts him up into P5, and now Spike has left the session. I'm hoping this isn't a me issue, Aaron. I'm hoping you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, that's good then, because normally it's a me problem if everyone starts leaving. So who are you riding on board with, Dan?
Just coming after the first sector split.
Let's see if I can find him then, yeah. Alan Kay is coming through the final chicane, and he is coming back into the pits. 10th place at the moment, a 1:21.0. More time to find there for Alan Kay as he makes his way back to the pits. So we've got Lighty, who is currently on a flying lap, heading into turn 10. Real overtaking opportunity into turn 10 if you're brave enough. But you have to make the move done before turn 11, that curb on the left-hand side. If you take it, if you're too greedy with that curb, it can send you spinning. Into turn 14.
Here he comes out the final chicane.
And around the final corner. Let's see what sort of lap time Light E can set. Spike joins us back, and Light E goes P5, 1:17.8.
A 10 separating third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, very close at the top. Ollie there coming into the pits. Let's see the exact gap as I try and fiddle my way through. Yeah, the gap between them is around 0.03 of a second between the two McLarens, so closely matched teammates, that's for sure. At the moment, with 10 minutes to go, Lambo is on provisional pole, Poe's in second, Ollie third, Squeezy in fourth, Lighty fifth, C3 in sixth, Siege in seventh, Steph in eighth, Plaster ninth, Damien in 10th, Alan Kay in 11th, with George Roberts not in the session at the moment. Technique Gaming, Maze and Spike all yet to set a lap time.
Everyone's still on out laps at the moment to start their second flying laps. Lambo has a McLaren ahead of him, Squeezy, as George has made it back into the session.
That's great to see, so he will get another stab at setting a lap time. Yellow flags in sector 1 and now sector 3, but I think that's people just coming back into the pits. You normally get yellow flags if someone joins back into the session for some reason. But I don't see anything there, so Technique Gaming set that 1:20.3, I think it was, came up there, that was previously invalidated, but this is a fresh flying lap as he flies through turn 2 and then coming around this right-hander of turn 3. Throttle all the way down if you can. He runs wide again, and will that invalidate his lap time? He seems to have backed off.
I think it did.
Yeah, so he's backed off once again, and Spike has left the session again. So not very good for the championship leader at the moment. He keeps leaving and rejoining the session. That will not be good for his qualifying. Let's hope he can sort his internet out. Lambo, meanwhile, I believe, is on a flying lap.
He's up by nearly 2/10 in the first sector.
So will we see a 1:16 time? What about Poe then, who is just coming out of turn 4 on his way downhill towards turn 5, and he could be the one to challenge. Ollie, meanwhile, on a set of soft tyres, remember, on his outlap, so maybe he thinks he can go faster. That's an interesting call from Ollie there. Yellow flags in sector 2. As we ride on board with Lambo then, as he heads towards turn 13, and then the chicane of 14 and 15, taking that curb on the right hand side, trying to get the steering absolutely spot on as he heads towards the line now. And it's at 1:16, it is indeed 1:16.6, and that opens up the gap massively to Poe now. Speaking of Poe, he improves, but doesn't take the lead. So let's see, I've got it on leader at the moment, so that is a 1:17.0 So very close to those 116s, but Lambo still leads the way. Who are you on board with, Aaron?
Ollie P's just brushed at the final corner. Now onto the long straight.
So he has, and that is going to be the longest lap in the world to get back now. He will have time, mind, but that lap with those soft tyres, absolutely abandoned there. Apparently, according to Maze in the chat, it's going to be a wet race. How reliable that is, I'm not too sure, but maybe this is why... If it's a wet race, though, I can't see why people are going onto the soft tyre.
Maybe it's not starting raining. Of course, we don't have the weather forecast. It could rain. Oh, Maze is left.
Maze is
Maybe
left.
it could rain halfway through.
Maybe, so obviously we don't get that data. The drivers do, as I have a massive lag spike there. Technique, by the way, has gone up into P2. Didn't see that. Now he is into the 116s as well. So he's cleaned up his lap now, but he has set 2 laps on those super soft tyres. That could come back to bite him. But yeah, I've noticed in these 50% races now, especially in qualifying, these tyres don't last long at all when it comes to a race.
Yeah, of course, with the added tyre temperatures, the tyres go off even more. If you get those tyres that are about 105 degrees, you're going to be sliding around quite a lot. So I think people need to be careful at the start of the race not to burn out the tyres too easy.
Absolutely. Ollie has retired from the session in the pits, I believe. Well, wherever he is, he's not on track anymore. Lighty leaves the pit lane on a new set of super soft tyres. So let's find people near the finishing line then. That's a Red Bull, I believe, going all the way using a very old layout of the track that I don't think is even used anymore. That's Technique, who's just getting well out of the way of everyone else as he makes his way back to the pits. George Roberts heading into the final chicane. I believe this is a flying lap. I hope it is anyway. Comes around the final corner, heading towards the line. And on the soft tyres, it's a 1:21.7 and it doesn't count. So whether that was actually a flying lap or an out lap, I'm not entirely sure now. Here comes Plaster there. Oh, sorry, Aaron, your mic's gone a bit haywire again. So I can handle it from here right now. Here comes Plaster towards the line. Sets a 1:19.8, but it's not enough to improve. He stays P10 for now. Lighty on an out lap. Siege has switched onto a set of super soft tyres as he makes his way around the track. This is his out lap. He'll be on to a flying lap now. George Roberts coming across some traffic there. Whether he was on his flying lap or not, I'm not entirely sure. But well, whatever the situation is now, he is heading back to the pits. He's backed off.
Light E is on a lap. See what his time is through the first sector.
So who was that, Light E?
Yeah.
Light E. So we're right on board with him then. Heading down the hill towards turn 5. Car number 41 in that Ferrari, running a little bit wide onto the AstroTurf on turn 6, and as you can see, that's invalidated his lap. He's backed straight off.
There's quite a few. Master's coming up to the line.
Let's have a look at Plaster then. Can he improve? Again, 800ths off improving his lap time there. So he will stay P10 for now. And of course, the more laps he sets on those tyres, if he starts in P10, he will have to... he runs a little bit off there. So that won't help his tyres at all. Maze has retired from the session. Not sure if that's on track or not, but he's actually left the session. So he needs to join back in the next 3 minutes. He's actually crashed out there. Right in the middle of the track. So that doesn't look like he collided with a wall there. Meanwhile then, this is Alan Kay we're riding on board with as he flies through turn 9, heading all the way down towards turn 10. Spike's still in the pits, by the way, waiting till the last possible moment. Alan Kay on his out lap. Let's see if we can find someone on their flying lap. Steph making his way around the final corner to start a lap. Z3, is he on a flying lap, I wonder? Looks like he is, so let's stick on board with him then. Plaster's retired from the session. Feels he can't improve anymore. Came very close on 2 occasions, but unfortunately not a chance to improve for him today. Z3 then rounding turn 12. Ooh, a little bit early on the throttle there. A little bit of oversteer. But now heading towards turn 13 and 14. Sorry, 14 and 15. Read the map wrong. Rounding turn 16 now. Z3 using that AstroTurf, getting a little bit on the grass. It's a 117.9. Doesn't move him up a place. Stays in P8. Lighty, meanwhile, crosses the line and puts himself up into P4. Good lap from Lighty.
Steph in 7. Plays on a lap.
Yeah, as he makes his way through this twisting section here. Around turn 12. Remember that curb on turn 11 is lethal if you get it wrong. As we head towards turns 14 and 15, getting the exit of this is absolutely crucial. As we head around turn 16, towards the line, Steph loses the back end. He recovers the car though, just about. But yeah, that's his qualifying over, and there you go, he's retired from the session. So at the moment, Steph lies in P7. Mays has joined back. So Poe has started a lap, as has Technique. And Lambo there is trying to get as clear a track as possible, running around at 2 miles an hour. But there's Lighty anyway, making his way back to the pits. And yeah, just trying to warm up those tyres, it seems, around a corner. Brave stuff. Always easy to lose the back end, that's for sure. But Lambo seems to know what he's doing. Spike, though, has not left the pits with 30 seconds to go. So he will be starting at the back of the grid. Championship leader, starting P15.
That's a big shocker.
So this opens up an opportunity then for Lambo to really attack. He's got Technique Gaming, a 10th off, and Poe around about 4/10 off. So he's got to do another lap to really secure himself. Poe, meanwhile, coming through turn 11 and then round turn 12. As we'll see here, what can Poe do? He's going to be the first of the top 3 to set down the marker. Don't forget Squeezy Lemon, by the way, who sets a 117 and goes straight on as he completes his lap. Poe then rounding the final corner. Technique has retired from the session, and Poe goes P2, 116.7. So, does Lambo back off, or does he push for another lap? I think he's going to push. He is the only person left to complete a lap as he flies around turn 9 into the DRS zone, a little bit onto the grass, knows he's done enough, crashes out, and Lambo will get pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Well, my prediction was right.
Your prediction was right, but well, we'll have to wait and see, because I don't want to call the shots too early, but your prediction of Spike winning the race seem a little bit in doubt. Lambo taking pole position, then Poe in second, Technique in third, Squeezy Lemon in fourth, Lighty fifth, Siege is in sixth, Ollie in seventh, Steph in eighth, Z3 in ninth, Damien qualifying in P10 on soft tyres. Watch out for him in the race. Plaster in 11th place, Alan Kay in 12th, George Roberts didn't set a time in P13, Mays retired from the session, and Spike never left the circuit, or never left to go out onto a track. So he'll be starting from P15 on the grid. Shaping up to be an interesting race, and if the forecast from the drivers is right, Aaron, we're in for a wet race.
Yeah, I think on my screen a lot of people are leaving the session.
Yeah, migrating host keeps... after all that. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. But we'll have to wait and see. Does everyone come across into the next lobby? Well, it is raining, but there's only there's only about 7 people in the lobby at the moment. Well, This is interesting. Nothing new, of course, but you know. Aha, so there will be a new lobby set up, and qualifying results from the previous session will be carried over. So Lambo will still be on pole, importantly, and more importantly, Spike, championship leader, will be starting from the back of the grid. So we need really like a technical difficulties screen. But we'll work quickly to get back to the race, and just bear with us for a few seconds whilst we sort out the problem. In the meantime, Aaron, whilst we have you here, obviously I hope you're enjoying coverage on TTTV.
I do still have the stream on, I think.
Oh, good.
Just been checking the live chat here.
Yeah, and whilst we have all you here, yeah, that seemed like a glitched lobby. Yeah, seemed that way. Spike was reporting glitch setup as well, selecting 2-2 wings. So that's not always good. So that's why he's starting from the back of the grid. Of course, guys, now's the perfect time to talk to us in the comments, because we're listening. We're watching right now, seeing what you guys are up to. I've received an invitation, so I'm going to jump straight back in. So qualifying will stand as is. So it will take some time organising the grid, but we'll look to bring you the race as soon as we can. And whilst we're all doing that, then I'm just going to open a can of drink. I won't say what, because I don't think I'm allowed to, but it's up to your imagination what I'm drinking. So yeah, Lambo on pole then. Let's talk about the race then. Lambo on pole, Spike at the back of the grid. Could be a huge shift in the championship.
Yeah, of course, if Lambo can pick up the 25 points, that's going to be very crucial for the drivers and the Constructors' Championships. And if Spike DNFs or doesn't get any points, then that's a big loss to him and his championship hopes.
Absolutely. We have, obviously this is only round 5, but these sort of races count, especially if you don't have a great qualifying, if the game glitches. You know, this could be the end of a 3-race winning streak for Spike. But to be honest with you, at a track he hated, he wasn't expecting a good result. If the setup works his way, do you see Spike carving through the field?
Well, of course, maybe a safety car could come out. It could really hype up the race, and it can mess up the grid order. So if Spike can make a good strategy work, he definitely has the potential of winning this race.
Yeah, and what we haven't seen on my streams, we haven't seen a safety car yet. We have seen a virtual safety car, but no safety cars in the race so far. That may not have been true at Baku because I wasn't there, but from what I can tell, no safety cars, no physical safety car just yet. So is that down to a game issue, or is it just we haven't seen a big enough incident yet?
Probably we haven't seen a big enough incident yet, in my opinion.
And Lewis Marshall in the chat, hoping for a turn 1 crash. Well, if it takes out half the field, I'm not looking forward to that. But we will have to wait and see. I think we're just waiting for one more driver. Are you in the lobby, Aaron? I can't see you.
No, I've only just got the invite.
Oh, okay.
No.
I don't think everybody's here yet anyway. Ah, yeah, I think it's just you now. Come on, Aaron, you hold us all up. This is not the first time I've had to deal with something like this, and it won't be the last, so I like to think we're well prepared for situations like this. But, yeah, I'm having a look at the weather, because obviously it has to be the same as what it was. It's on custom, so obviously the drivers know what's going on in terms of the weather, so maybe rain is on the horizon if it's set to custom.
Yeah, I think Mays knows told us what the weather was going to be, so he'll have that in the custom weather. So I think it's going to be exactly the same race as well. Going to be
Absolutely.
different lobby.
Yeah, so hopefully this lobby stands and is stable enough to hold a race. It couldn't hold qualifying without glitching. So hopefully we'll be okay for the race. And I believe, Aaron, you've just joined us. Yes, you have. Excellent. So hopefully now we'll get going. I don't know if you've seen the videos. I'm hoping you have, of the huge battle with Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna down the long start-finish straight. Well documented, that one, and a fantastic battle. And I'm hoping we get the same sort of battling. Well, DRS overtakes might be a little easy down that long straight, but do you reckon Lambo can hold on to his lead?
Well, he showed what he could do in qualifying. Of course, qualifying very different to the race, but if he can keep up the pace that he showed in qualifying, he definitely has a chance of winning. Technique, game, and they can be close rivals as well.
Absolutely. Lewis Marshall asks, because it's a wet race, could they change to a wet setup before the race in a new lobby? Now that is an interesting question. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. The sportsman way would be to keep the setup you had before, but obviously if it starts to rain, then technically yes, in this new lobby, drivers could actually change their setup. So we'll have to wait and see though, because we don't know quite how the race is going to start. If it starts as a dry race, then there's no point running a wet setup, because you're just going to be slow off the line and for the first few laps, unless you're trying to wait for this rain that could or could not come and could last to the end of the race. I mean, Aaron, what's your take on that?
Well, if people have wet setups, then that's their decision whether they want to use them or not. I guess if they ran a dry setup in qualifying and used the wet in the race, it's, as you said, unsportsmanlike, but if it gets the job done, then they want to do the best that they can so they can finish higher up on the grid.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, there's nothing in the rules, so those drivers who will be saying, well, it doesn't say anything in the rules that say you can't do that, may start to shine through. But in these changeable conditions, obviously anything can happen. And as you can see, it is raining from the very start, just as it was at the end of qualifying. So, what would you do in this situation? Would you change to a wet setup?
Well, I suppose it would maximise the pace that you would have, so I guess in any driver's situation they would change to a wet setup.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first Grand Prix was in 1991, built as part of the Olympic effort in Barcelona in 1992. 33 laps around the track, around 4.6 kilometres of the circuit to Catalonia. We're going to be racing around about 153.5 kilometres today. Lap record 1:18.441 by Daniel Ricciardo in the most recent race in 2018. Should be looking at some of those lap times today, maybe even quicker if it dries up. Not sure how long this race lasts. All I can tell you is what's on the screen right now is that it's raining, and it looks like full wets will be at the ready.
I think there's a formation.
There is indeed, yeah. Just waiting for drivers to join, and it seems like an age to wait for that. But here they are on the grid, and away we go. Intermediate tyres, it seems. And I hope your mic's going to last, Aaron, because it seems like it's destroying the inside of itself. But yeah, I hope that gets better. Let's have a look at some of the details. And there you go, tyres. So everyone's starting on a set of intermediate tyres. So whether people are running wet setups or not, well, at the end is entirely up to them. Lambo will be leading them down into turn 1. Poe will be in 2nd, Technique in 3rd, Squeezy 4th, Light E 5th, Siege in 6th, Ollie in 7th, Steph in 8th, C3 9th, Damien in 10th, Plaster in 11th, Alan K 12th, George Roberts in 13th, Mays in 14th, and Championship leader Spike down in 15th. Aaron, who are you going to be looking out for in this race?
Technique Gaiman, he in Azerbaijan, he showed he had good pace, but he sadly ended up crashing. Oh, Mays has left again.
Mays has left again, so this...
That you want to see.
Yeah, there is real lobby issues tonight. That could be down to PSN, it could be down to Codemasters, but Mays did say he has been moving around, so he has a new internet connection, which isn't as good as the one he previously had, so that could be a huge issue coming into these races as Lambo starts backing them up, heading into turn number 11. Changeable weather, I'm guessing then, and this could be a very interesting race. I can't remember the last time I really had rain commentating, and I can tell you it was quite a while ago. However, I'm up for this one, Aaron. I hope you are too.
Definitely.
Well, Lambo here has been trying to back them up, but everyone's just decided to overtake him. Mays has joined back into the session, but he's still a ghost car at the minute. And once that ghost car becomes solid, you'll be able to see he has joined back into the session. So then as they make the way around to the final corner, Mays is still a ghost car, and it does take a minute or two to actually join back into the session, I know from experience. So let's see if Mays can make the start, but depending on how the first corner goes, he might benefit from being a ghost car actually. So as we get onto the grid now, we're ready for the Spanish Grand Prix here in the rain. Any minute now, we'll get those lights coming on, and here they are. The lights coming on, 5 red lights. Round 5 is underway, and what are the starts like? Technique gets a horrible start. Lots of wheel spin from the Finn off the line, but it looks like Poe has got a better start than Lambo as we head down towards turn 1. Can Poe make that start count? He's lagged. He's become a ghost car, and currently Lambo and Poe are inside each other right now. That's not a good phase. That's not a phrase I thought I'd be saying. Poe is all over the place, but Lambo at the minute, is he taking the lead? I'm not too sure. Poe though is all over the place with his internet connection. It looks like he's taken the lead. Lambo's in second, Squeezy up to third place. Siege is in fourth with Technique down to fifth on that start. That is Steph in sixth, Ollie seventh, Lighty eighth, Z3 in ninth, Damien 10th, Plaster 11th. Spike is up to 12th place after that start. George Roberts in 13th, Mays in 14th, and Alan Kay is in 15th place at the minute. Poe seems to be lagging all over the place. Aaron, I'm not sure if that's on your screen, but he's leading the race though.
Yeah, he's just calmed down from his lag from the start now, but he's took the lead. Steph has also made up 3 positions as Plaster overtakes Damien with 10th place. Light has dropped 3 positions, and he will not be happy with that.
I'm not sure if that's just me or a general lag issue, but it does seem to be affecting this race a little bit. But as you can see, yeah, there is a little bit of lag on my end, so you'll have to bear with that on the stream. Oh, that is Siege getting it wrong, and he's into the wall. And I'm not sure. Is he going to rejoin back to the race? It's a ghost car now. Yeah, he just went straight on, full throttle. Lost the back end and, well, has to come back to the pits now. Siege then in real trouble. But I'll have to look up further up the field. Lighty makes a move on Ollie down into turn 1. He's up into 5th place. And Mays has left the session, and I wonder if he's going to make an appearance back, because that is the umpteenth time he's left now. And sometimes you just want to give up when you've had a night like that where nothing in the internet works.
Of course, that's unlucky for Mays. This car's still running around at 14th after Siege. Going into the pits with Spike with one of the best starts. Up 5 positions.
Absolutely. Well, Spike has made his way up into P10. Mays has joined back into the session, so he's not giving up just yet. As Spike trying to make something happen behind Plaster right now. Loses that back end just slightly coming out of turn 9 as we make our way down towards turn 10, riding on board with Spike. But no dice right now. Can't seem to get a move done. We're going to cut further up the field. Poe still leading the way as we head towards turn 14 and 15. Lambo in second, only 6/10 behind, and Squeezy is only 9/10 behind. Nearer a second. And remember, We're heading on to lap 3. No DRS, of course. It's wet weather. So all the moves have to be done like in the good old days.
Yeah, they have to get it done the old-fashioned way, of course. This is where setup choice becomes an advantage or a disadvantage, whether you're running lower wings for the straight line speed or higher wings for the downforce. There's yellow flags. Don't know who that is for.
I'm just on board with Ollie and Z3 having a mega battle through turns 1 and 2, ending in 3. Z3 seems to have got the move done. I think Siege is the yellow flag there. So that is him done for the day. But Z3 make the move on Ollie there, just coming into turn 2. And he is now up into 7th place as Mays leaves the session once again. He's not having a great time at all there. Spike, meanwhile, has benefited. He's up into P9, got his way past Plaster. His next target is now Ollie, up in 8th place. Siege has left the session for good. He won't be coming back, of course, after his retirement on lap number 2. Here comes Spike then, down the back straight towards turn 10. And Experience the Spike did lock up there. And George Roberts is out. George Roberts is out of the race. What happened there? He's collided with something or someone. His car's stranded in the middle of the track. He might have lost the back end onto the grass. But can't be quite sure because we can't actually ride on board with retired cars anymore, which is, well, I've said my view on that anyway. Meanwhile, here comes Lambo then, battling with Poe towards turn 1. Lambo trying to go around the outside, but Poe's holding that inside line and cuts him off there. And that is Poe holding on to position there. Ollie picks up a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I'm sorry, Aaron, I should probably give the microphone back to you.
Oh, that's alright. Good battle between Poe and Lambo. Squeezy sitting there just under a second behind. Now everyone's sort of spaced out. You've got a 2-second gap to Technique, 2 seconds to Steph, 3 seconds to Lion. And this is where the field gradually decides to separate from each other, but the top 2 looking strong.
Absolutely. You're looking at a 1-stop here if the rain persists. Just around about halfway through the race. You can try and take intermediate tyres past the halfway mark, so we're probably looking... Oh, that's a move. I think that's a move. Lambo on Poe. Lambo going straight down the inside, but backing off of a move. Maybe he was too hot going into turn 10 there. Gave the position back to Poe. And this is inviting Squeezy to try and catch up here. If he plays his cards right, Squeezy could be in with a good chance of scoring some major points. And there you go.
Yeah, Technique is... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Poe's 5-second stop go for cutting a corner and gaining a place. So he was trying to give the place back to Lambo. Then Lambo... and then heading through turns 2 and then coming round turn 3. I think it's stabilised now, so it's all good. Yeah, I think what was happening going into turn 10 is Lambo tried to go down the inside, made contact with Poe, which forced Poe to go wide, and position had switched, so Poe was in front of Lambo but off track. So then Lambo let Poe back through whilst Poe was off the track, and that was what's given Poe a 5-second stop go. Now, under the regulations in this league, you can appeal 5-second penalties. You can't appeal 3-second penalties, but you can appeal 5-second ones. So I think Poe will be going straight to the stewards after this race.
Yeah, of course, Lambo was being a sportsman and given the position back. Of course, he wouldn't have had a clue that Poe had an illegal overtake, but I think Poe, yeah, he'll just send it into the stewards and get that 5 seconds removed from his time. Oh, and Lambo's off.
Lambo's off. And he is into the gravel out of turn 10. And, well, big disappointment there for Lambo. Now, whether that was contact, whether he just ran wide, I'm not entirely sure. But, well, he'll have to recover from now. We have yellow flags in Sector 3. See if we can find anyone. Not at the moment. These yellow flags just... I wish I'd just told you what turn it was at. But never mind. Can't win them all. Here comes Light E then. On the back of Spike. And is he gaining in that slipstream? He seems to be at the moment. Gradually trying to close the gap. Now down to 3/10. But Spike at the moment up into P6 right now. just trying to have his own race here, trying to keep that back end in check as well as we head around turn number 3. Mays has left the session once again as Lighty runs a little bit wide. Still keeping 2 wheels on the grey stuff though, so shouldn't pick up a warning for that. And we are on lap number 6. There's your race leader, Poe, followed by Squeezy, and there is Technique. That's your top 3 so far at the Spanish Grand Prix.
As you can see, Lighty's pushing the car quite a bit, but he gets a 3-second time penalty. Spike is up 9 positions in the first 6 laps.
Yeah, incredible stuff at the moment. Looking at fastest laps there, Poe 132.1, and you can see most of the drivers in and around the the early 132s would be a good benchmark, but you know, early 133s isn't something to shake your head at all, especially in these conditions. And this is when some of the great drivers establish themselves in the wet. A lot trickier to control the car. And I'm not entirely sure. Well, Lambo's now down to 132.0, so he's on it after that mistake. And maybe that's showing a little bit of pace there, sending a warning out to Poe.
Yeah, it obviously shows that little off in at the gravel has not dented his confidence whatsoever.
Ooh, Lighty getting a little tail out there as he exits turn 2. Looks stylish, but it's lost him around about 0.5 of a second. Damien is into the pits. And is this a front wing change or a scheduled stop? Looks like a scheduled stop to me. So he's pitting very early then. Lap number 7. So I wonder if he can make those tyres last to the end of the race. Well, he was running down in P11, I believe. So, I mean, why not? Why not take the risk? So he exits now, rejoining as the last of the runners in P12.
I feel a bit sorry for Mears because he's still trying to get into the session, but his ghost car's just running around in 13th. As there is yellow flags again. That's for Light E, who just came out of the gravel. Yeah,
lost it around turn number 9 there. Got into the gravel, but he's got to pick himself back up again and get back on it. So Poe then, meanwhile, as he'll start up number 8 in the lead, Squeezy Lemon, then sets the fastest lap of the race into the 131.7s. So great lap. He's on a real charge now, Squeezy. He's turned up the ERS and he's on a charge now to try and get past Poe.
Yeah, you can see he's only got 40% left while Poe has 70%. Shows how much Squeezy is pushing to try and get this win. As again, yellow flags. I don't know what for.
I think it was just a mistake there. So as you can see, they're both running around about a similar ERS mode. But as you say, Aaron, Squeezy has less battery power than Poe at this moment in time. So Poe just maybe taking it easy for now and saving his battery power for later in the race. Obviously you don't want to be at 100% for the entire race because there's no point in having it then, but at least harvesting some energy for a little bit so they can use it later on, as Squeezy runs very wide on the exit of turn number 9, but doesn't seem to have affected him too much there, as into turn 10 he goes, and he's really starting to try and pile on the pressure to Poe there.
Lambo is catching Technique. Last time when he set his fastest lap, the gap was 2 seconds. Now it is 1 second.
So he is really on a charge now, Lambo. He knows he has to take advantage of Spike down in P6 at the moment. So as he's rounding turn 16 here, let's see how good his car is built for the straight lines. And looks like at the moment it's round about matching Technique. Now he's picking up some speed. And we head into turn 1 there. We'll have to see how much that gap closes up. Let's have a look at some of the telemetry then. As you can see, he is in low power mode. Trying to harvest some energy. Now he turns it up to mode 3, then swiftly back to mode 1. He's constantly changing that ERS, as you so have to do around a race. So it's full concentration for the whole 33 laps.
Yeah, of course, one mistake and it could be the end of the race. Of course, we saw that with George Roberts. He went off and retired on lap 3, I think it was.
So we see still Poe in the lead of the race. Squeezy in second place. Technique is in third at the moment, 3.2 behind Squeezy. Lambo is under a second, but as you can see, Aaron, the sun is starting to peek through.
Yeah, and the rain is coming down a lot less, which I guess is why we're seeing the times come in a bit quicker. Of course, the intermediates are quicker when you wear them more, and with the track drying up gradually, just playing into the driver's hands.
Absolutely. We're looking at Spike here as he's trying to get the exit right of turn 15 there, but I don't think he did get it quite right. But I don't think Steph did either. So it's brought them back on a level playing field, and Spike maybe could have a go here. 4/10 back, maybe a bit too far back, but I could eat my own words here. Spike, really try the outside line. A little bit of a lock up there as he heads into turn 1. Just trying to put Steph under a little bit of pressure, and it looks like it's worked because Steph's lost the back end and will hold the outside line for turn 3 and just about holds on.
Light A in the pits for a fresh set of intermediates.
So maybe why Damien and Lighty have pitted so early is because they know a dry stint's coming, but they can't get these intermediates to that changeover point. That could be a reason why they're all pitting. So again, something we don't know. Steph losing that back end once again. He's got to be careful, especially around Spike, as they fly through turn 9. And now heading down this back straight towards turn 10. Steph covering the inside line as we ride on board with Spike now. And Steph just pushing Spike, placing his car so that Spike has to go the long way around. And it's working so far. But Spike, very experienced driver, he'll know to wait and bide his time and wait for the perfect opportunity. So Lambo setting the fastest lap of the race as Poe makes his car as wide as possible down the main straight, holding off from Squeezy at the moment as they're coming up to the ghost car of Maze. And like you say, it's very tough for Maze in something like this. You keep trying to join back into the lobby and everything you do just doesn't work. But sorry, I said the ghost car was coming up and it completely threw me off, but never mind. But yes, Poe's still leading the race then, and Lambo's still behind Technique for the moment. Got Ollie further down the field, coming down the main straight. Of course, he had to pit in on lap number 1, having lost that front wing. We're expecting him to come in again because he won't make those intermediates last to the end of the race if it keeps raining. But he is closing in on Alan Kay at the minute as they come through turn 3. And Alan Kay taking that wet line using the outside of the circuit, which you're taught to do in karting on slick tyres if it ever happens. So, we're coming up to a third of the way into this Grand Prix. It's Poe who leads. Squeezy is in second place. Oh, Technic Gaming's run wide there. And that opens up an opportunity here for Lambo. And he's taken it. And here comes Technique then into the pits. So he was coming into the pits anyway, and only losing a bit of time then. So this move then onto a new set of intermediate tyres. Away he goes, and of course Spike has that opportunity to move up a place. Meanwhile, behind them, Steph is also in for another set of intermediate tyres. So maybe a 2-stop here. Maybe these intermediates aren't going to last as long as I thought, Aaron.
Yeah, some people have been pushing quite a lot. Of course, Steph, he would have been pushing, defending from Spike, who was made up 11 positions. But Steph, he's coming out just ahead of Plaster, so he's got that track position. So perfect timed pit stop for Steph.
Here comes Ollie down the inside of Alan Kay, and Alan Kay doesn't really make too much of a fight. Ollie then up into P9, and of course on that is 8-lap-old intermediate tyres. Let's head back to the front of the field then, because Squeezy is still right on the gearbox of Poe here, as Lambo makes his way up into P3, of course. And these two have to watch themselves now because Lambo could be closing in at a rate of knots.
Lambo just 5 seconds behind the junior pair of Poe and Squeezy. Going to be interesting to see who pits and Squeezy comes into the pits.
Absolutely, very late call there. Wanted to make the undercut work. So they're both coming in. So, intermediate tyres going on once again, and as you can see, the rain is slightly lighter than it was before. Squeezy into the pits. On go another set of inters. It's exactly the same for Lambo. And where will Squeezy rejoin them? Will he rejoin in clear air? Will he rejoin in front of Z3? Where is Z3 out on track? He will rejoin in front of those two. But Lambo is going to rejoin in between them, is he? Is he going to try and get past Technique? He's up the inside of Technique. Technique trying to defend the inside of turn 2. A nightmare for Lambo. He's rejoined behind these two. Now, Technique will be a challenge to get past, but Z3 might be a little bit kind to his teammate here. You never know. Lambo then trying to go up the inside into turn 4. And Technique has left the door open as we head now down towards turn 5. Technique will have the inside line, but Lambo will have the traction zone and the racing line. And, oh, Technique losing that back end. I thought he lost the back end there. Maybe a little bit of internet latency issues. But Lambo moves up into P5 there then. His teammate up ahead of him. And if you're a teammate and you've got a championship rival, yep, there you go. Z3 moves over. Lambo tries to get some slipstream, but he can't quite make the move just yet. Race leader Poe into the pits. So whilst Lambo is battling, Squeezy's getting away. And I don't think Z3 will be doing Lambo any favours. There he goes. There's the team orders move. And that could open up an opportunity for Technique, but he can't quite take it. Z3 holds on to 5th place for now. So Spike will take the lead. Poe into the pits then. And it's a slow getaway. He hasn't got away at all. Oh, there we go. Lag creating fake drama, but there we go. Z3 and Technique. There is that Poe there? I think it is. Yes, it is. So he's rejoined just behind Lambo and just in front of these two battling behind. Technique and Z3 still going side by side. Technique again holding on as we blast through turn 2 now. And Poe then losing out on the in lap.
He had that 5-second penalty.
Oh, that's why. Okay. So, yeah, that would be why then. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. So, Squeezy then is in, well, pretty much in the lead because Spike is still yet to make a stop. Squeezy is 4 seconds behind and will be closing that gap. Spike on 13-lap old intermediate tyres. And, well, Spike will be hoping to try and only make one stop in this race to try and optimise it. Everyone else might be able to get their tyres to the end. But keep an eye on Squeezy for the end of the race. He might have to stop again depending on how good his tyres are towards the end of the race. Now this is interesting then. Now Lambo has got in front of Poe. Can he create that gap he needs and try and start to close the gap to himself and Squeezy?
Well, Poe does have the fresher tyres, which gives him an advantage as Squeezy sets the fastest lap at 1:31.2. Lambo at 1:31.3. But Spike, with his strategy, if he is going to do the one stop, could potentially be a key factor in this race win.
Yeah, we know he is an experienced driver. He can make tyres last when he needs to. So this would be a mega drive if he can. Lap 15 of this Grand Prix, almost at the halfway point. But Spike leads the way. Yet to stop in this race. Squeezy is in second. Lambo is in third. That's your top 3 so far. At the minute then, Lambo is starting to build a gradual lead over Poe. But it's only a couple of hundredths per mini sector, if that. So Poe is still just keeping up with Lambo, but the thing is now, do you try and get out of the dirty air and attack later on in the race? That might be what Poe is planning to do, especially if he's just off the pace slightly. He can still push and get less of that dirty air.
Well, with the safest tyres, of course course he has the fresher tyres, so him being tactical at this point in the race can allow for him to push towards the end.
Absolutely. Obviously we'll have to keep an eye out on the developing battle. And at the moment then, Spike into the pits. So this looks like it's going to be onto a new set of intermediates as Lambo sets the fast lap of the race, 1:30.7. So Spike then possibly making his one and only stop. Away he goes. So where will he rejoin in the race? Where is Steph? He's coming down the main straight, so he's going to rejoin behind him. Ollie is making his way around the final corner, so Spike is going to rejoin behind Steph, so he's got to have this battle all over again, Aaron.
Yeah, but of course they can do this with as much fresher tyres, 4 laps. Here's the difference, and Z3 and Alan Kerr, them two drivers, are still yet to make pit stops on this race.
Absolutely. In terms of stops, there you go, confirms it. As Aaron said, Z3 and Alan Kerr is still yet to stop in this race. So looking at the position changes, as you can see, Spike up 8 positions. That's the best of the field. Biggest loser right now is Light E, who's down 5 places from his starting position.
Yeah, of course, Light E would have been potentially challenging for a podium. Of course, he qualified 5th, and he usually makes good strategy calls, but today just hasn't been his day.
Yeah, halfway through the race though, anything can happen. The rain could go away, and the safety car could come out. You never know. But Light E, as you say, just seems to be struggling. Turn 9 there, lost the back end, and yeah, he is struggling in these conditions. Meanwhile though, Z3 coming through 14 and 15. And is he coming in? No, he's staying out. But he is struggling on those tyres. You can see there, Steph is got a lot more grip in those tyres. And coming out of turn 16, much more grip, much more traction. And as they run side by side, Steph is going to move up a position there into turn 1. Oh, a little bit of contact there from Spike behind as he goes into Z3. Now, does he have front wing damage? Doesn't look like it from the beginning. But we'll have to keep an eye on that one for sure. Just a little tap there from Spike into the back of Z3. Yeah, keep an eye on that front wing, Aaron.
I didn't think I saw any come off at the point when he made contact. But if he does have damage, it's very minor.
Absolutely, and that minor damage can be the difference, 2 or 3 tenths a lap, especially around a circuit like this, where you need the aero so desperately. But Spike still closing in on Steph. We head through turn 9 and coming towards turn 10. You can see now, I think Z3's tyres have just gone off the cliff completely, because at the moment he's lost 3 seconds to this battle, and he was battling them at turn 1.
Yeah, I think he has to come in. He has to come in at the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah,
otherwise he's just staying out on the track for no reason.
Yeah, he risks getting a puncture at this point. I mean, he's past the halfway point in this race, so he needs to start pitting in now. We'll have to see if he does. Meanwhile, though, Steph coming around the final corner. Spike is looking to try and make this damage limitation as much as possible. And as you said, Z3 in this lap then. So here we go then. Spike, will he try and move around the outside? Into turn 1 and then into turn 2. He's got the inside line, and Spike on fresher tyres has the move done into turn 3. Spike then up into 5th place. A long way to go to get to a technique. 14 seconds to be exact. So he's got to keep his head down now and focus on closing that gap.
That was a very good move though from Spike.
Yeah, a lot of respect between those two drivers. They're hard racers, but they're fair towards each other. And, well then, Spike up into P5. And a long way to go, though, to catch up to technique. So, lap 18 of this Grand Prix. Squeezy Lemon leads the way. Lambo is in second, 4.8 seconds behind. Poe is sticking with a note, 1.4 seconds in third place. Technique there is in fourth place. As I said, Spike is in P5. That is Steph in P6. Lighty in 7th place. Z3 rejoins in 8th place on a new set of intermediate tyres. Plaster is in 9th place. Ollie came in for his second stop. He's down in P10. Alan Kay came in for his one and only stop in P11. Damien running around in P12. He stopped on lap 7, if you remember. One of the first to make a strategic call. So I'll have to see how his tyres last, because Z3's lasted around 17 laps and he had to come in. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. And Mays will classify, or should I say not classify, in this race. He is a ghost car. So, Aaron, any battles developing for you out on track?
Not at the moment. Of course, the top 4 separated by 8.3 seconds. 4.7 between the front 2, or sticking around in 3rd. And of course, as you said earlier about Paul, just sitting a second and a half behind, not wanting to get into the dirty air, and it's saving his tyres as he went fastest lap, 1 lap previously.
Yeah, and he's gone a 10th up in the second sector as well, Poe. So he is getting quicker. Maybe not saving his tyres, but definitely saving all the other vitals that you need in the car, such as tyre temperature. As we see now, heading through turns 14 and 15. There goes Squeezy in the shot there, in the lead of the race. Lambo in second, Poe in third. And as you can see, he's cut the gap down a little bit. As there you go, fastest lap of the race, 1:30.5. He's closing in on Lambo now. Maybe he feels now is the time to attack.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, 2 fastest laps in a row. Now beaten by Spike, who's close to second on technique.
In one lap as well, yeah.
Course, yeah, if Paul does get that 5-second penalty removed, then at the moment it puts him very close to squeezing.
Yeah, I remember he's already, he's served that 5-second stop go, of course, but he can appeal to get it removed. But right now he's just got to focus on doing the best job he can. In case the stewards don't agree with him, that is. So he's just got to keep his head down, keep focused. This race is far from over. Lap 20 in this Grand Prix. And you can see technique in the background there, coming out of turn 9, really pushing hard. That's 2 laps in a row now. He's fishtailed on the exit of turn 9. So he is really pushing that car, hoping that Spike doesn't catch him.
Well, technique has a full bar of ARF at the moment. He's been using the 3rd mode for pretty much the whole lap.
Yeah, so like you say, still got a pretty full bar, and obviously I have a glitch right now, and there it goes up to overtake mode. So he is really pushing. He knows Spike is catching him, and that's the thing. He needs to make sure he keeps that gap as far away as possible. Damien, meanwhile, has come out on a set of wet tyres.
Doesn't look like wets to me.
No, I don't think so either. But I have to see how his lap times do. And yeah, you can see he is struggling out there. There is just not enough standing water on the track to make those tyres work. So what will happen now is those tyres will go cold. And the colder they are, the less grip they give. The less grip they give, as you can see, this is what happens. But we'll have to wait and see if those tyres come too. Because Damien might have got reports of heavy rain on the way, and he's getting his stop early.
Of course, he might just be going in for a different strategy. Of course, he wasn't in the points at the time that he pitted, so if it works for him, then it's a very good strategy call, although I do not think that it will.
Well, he is 36.6 away from the next car, so let's keep an eye on that gap and see what happens. Yellow flags in sectors 1 and 2. They're gone now, so I think that was Light E. Yes, it was. Light E has been into the barriers because that's a piece of front wing on the right hand side that's missing from his car.
That's very visible. He changed.
Yeah, so you can see how much grip he's lost. 12 laps to go. Now, if he puts on a set of intermediates, he'll definitely make it to the end. But that's going to be hugely frustrating. Z3 now is coming up behind him. Now, Z3 won't know necessarily he has front wing damage. He's going down the inside into turn 10. And, yeah, as you can see there, like, he does not have the grip He's lost that vital front aero that you need around a track like this, and he's falling away. So yeah, like you said, he will have to come back to the pits, and that would be highly frustrating for him.
Yeah, because this is going to put him now out of the points in 11th. It's going to leave him with a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. Well, he's recovered from situations like this before, and as he makes his way to the pits, he can't make that any worse than it already is. But as we said before, we're keeping an eye on Damien's lap times, and they are falling away. He's now 39.6 away from the next car. He's losing around about 3 seconds per lap from the next car, which was Alan Kay.
Yeah, so a strategy gone wrong for Damien.
Squeezy Lemon into the pits. So, race leader doesn't think these tyres will make it to the end. So, what tyres will he pick then? I'm guessing intermediates, because obviously he won't be able to see Damien out there. He might not even know that Damien's on wet tyres. On go another set of inters. And away he goes. So a 2-stop there from Squeezy. Now where will he rejoin in terms of Spike? Here comes Spike down the main straight. Squeezy's leaving the pit lane. And look at that. Squeezy is actually going to come out in front of Spike, sorry. So that 1-stop from Spike hasn't worked. Squeezy's rejoined in front of him. So Squeezy now might set off a trigger to Lambo, whether he pits or not, or tries to make it to the end.
Well, as I said before the race, that's going to be a race about strategy. And as far as it looks at the moment, I think I'm correct.
Absolutely. It's making the right call at the right time and making that strategy work. So it'd be interesting to see what Lambo and Poe do at the moment. First and second, about 1.5 seconds apart. And whilst they're out there, of course, Squeezy is on better tyres, setting faster lap times. So they've got to be careful about the decision they make right now. Damien has retired. That strategy call hasn't worked for him in the end, and he will be retiring from the race. Lambo stays out, as does Poe. And Technique behind them also stays out. So that's an interesting call then from Squeezy. Maybe he's the only one who's going to make a 2-stop here. And he is closing in on Technique. 8.3 seconds the gap. Of course, these tyres will definitely make it to the end. Not only that, but he can actually attack on them. And Lambo and Poe may not be able to do that towards the end of their stints.
Yeah, he will be very quick on those fresh tyres.
Yeah, absolutely.
He also set his personal best second and third sector on that outlap.
So he is really pushing, and you can tell now 7.9 between him and Technique. So at the moment, Lambo in the lead, and taking it very easy as he heads now up the hill towards turn 9. And he is opening up the gap now to Poe, as the rain here, I can't quite tell if that's got heavier or not, but I don't think it's wet enough for wet tyres just yet. I'm not sure if the rain's got heavier. I can't quite tell, Aaron.
I'm really baffled because of Damien's strategy. It's now making me think, oh, it's going to be heavy rain now.
Yeah,
to me, it looks like it's staying the same.
Staying the same from the weatherman, Aaron. Yeah, it just looked to me like Lambo was struggling a little bit, but maybe that's just tyre wear. 3/10 off his best, so that's around about the tyre deg stage. So track is good then for the intermediate tyres for now.
We might see a new fastest lap from Squeezy as he crosses the line.
Here he comes. Well, he was 3/10 better, but I think the lap was invalidated, was it? Or maybe it was not the fastest lap of the race. Let's have a look at those fastest laps.
He was 200ths off Spike.
Oh, that'll be why then. That'll be very frustrating for him, as you can see there. Yeah, 200ths of a second, you're absolutely right. But, yeah, on 2 lap-old tyres. It's going to be interesting then to see if Lambo and Poe react. They might not react.
Well, their pace looks good on the intermediates that they're doing now. Of course, course, we saw C3's tyres go off after 17, which could be a hindrance towards Lambo and Paul, and Technique staying out till the end.
Absolutely. Well, obviously Z3 might be on a different setup, so tyre wear may be different. In fact, it will be different for all the drivers. And as you can see, all of the runners at the moment are on the lead lap. There you can see Lighty in the distance, still on the lead lap. And Lambo there, 131.4, and Poe 131.9, 1.3 seconds off. Let's have a look at Technique's time, 132.8. Squeezy will be a good indication. 131.1. I don't know, I think this rain has got heavier. I think it has.
Yeah, it actually does look like it is heavier now.
Yeah, because Squeezy's 6/10 off his best, and those tyres are in good nick. Yeah, I think this rain is getting heavier. Really hard to tell. Meanwhile, Steph's into the pits. Now, is this a move? This might be for wet tyres. It is. Steph's going for the wets. Well, I think Damien had the right idea, but around 5 laps too early. So now, where will Steph and how will Steph get on these wet tyres? This could be the difference between Steph getting P6 right now. Okay, he's 30 seconds off Spike right now, but 30 seconds can be made up, especially if you're on the wrong tyre.
Plaster follows in as well.
Plaster is in. A little bit of back end loss there for Steph. I think we're at the changeover point, or not far away from it at least. And yeah, this rain has definitely got heavier, Aaron, because Lambo is really struggling out there. And on that lap, he's lost 2 seconds.
Definitely time for wet tyres.
Oh, it might not be. I think this is a changeover point. I don't think it's quite ready for wets, but they're just around the corner, that's for sure. So
the drivers will be thinking 6 laps ago, was it worth it for wets? Is it worth sacrificing the 20 seconds? It's going to be the difference in driver confidence. Can they stick it out on the inners, or do they need it in the wets?
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're leading the race. Now, I wouldn't want to be Lambo in a situation like this. You're leading the race. The others behind you can decide whatever they like. But you have to stay out, if, especially if Poe is 1.9 behind you. He can dive into the pits very late on and leave you stranded out there.
Squeezing very close now to Technique, 2.4 seconds.
Yeah, and on these fresher tyres, as you can see, there's more tread they can give. So Squeezy will have marginally more grip than Technique, Poe and Lambo, which is why he's catching them. It won't be much more tread, mind, but it is more tread than Technique has on 15-lap-old intermediates. Steph, meanwhile, is maintaining the gap to Spike. 38.5, around about that mark. So, yeah, I think by the time wet tyres become the tyre of choice, it'll be about lap 29. So with 5 laps to go, is it worth pitting at that point?
It's very interesting to see none of the top 4 hit. See what Spike does. I think he'll stay out.
No, he's coming in.
He's coming in.
So he's coming in. He's got the gap to Steph. Yeah, he knows he's got the gap to Steph. So when he comes in, this could be a move to try and get onto the podium here, Aaron. You never know. If he plays those cards right,
it's worth the risk.
Absolutely.
Like situation.
On go the wet tyres. And where is Steph? He is coming towards turn 13, so he's got plenty of room out on track. And he rejoins in 5th place, exactly when he entered. 28.8 behind Squeezy. A lot of time to make up, and not a lot of time to do it. 6 laps, in fact, to make up 30 seconds. So he's got to improve and catch Squeezy by 5 seconds a lap.
He'll be looking for driver mistakes, of course. Lambo, he made a mistake, went to the gravel earlier on. He will not want to repeat that. As Ollie P is spent to the pits again.
Yeah, here's an interesting one. Yeah, here's what I'm thinking. Maze is into the pits, and of course he's controlled by an AI. So if the AI are now pitting in, it is time for the wet tyres. And that's it. Lambo and Poe are in. What does Technique do then? Will he stay out? Will he try and pit in? He will pit in as well. And Squeezy Lemon stays out. Squeezy is staying out. Away goes Lambo then. And away goes Poe. Squeezy Lemon will take the lead of the race. 5 laps to go in this one. And there is Lambo. You can see emerging from the pits. Oh, that gap's not going to be big enough for 5 laps. Oh, this is going to be really, really tense for Squeezy. He knows now that the 2-stop might not have been the tyre of choice. Technique into the pits. He's going to come out on a set of wet tyres as well. So Spike's strategy of trying to close the gap has taken a little bit of a hit. But as you can see, that gap is much less than it was before his stop. All eyes on Squeezy then, Aaron. 5 laps to go, I believe, or is it 6 laps to go? I can never tell with this lap counter thing. And Ollie's retired from the session. And where has he gone off? Ah, he's gone into the wall. He's lost it on the exit of turn 9. A little bit too much throttle, and Ollie is out of this race. And yeah, that's what it would take when you need the tyres to warm up before you start to push. There is Squeezy Lemon then. Still on a set of intermediate tyres. He now knows he has to be on these tyres to the end of the race. He can't pit in now. He's missed that window of opportunity. So if he's going to win this race, he needs to do it on a track that's getting wetter by the minute, on tyres that are quickly going to become obsolete.
Also, Z3, Alan K and Light on intermediate, so they've opted not to pit as well. Of course, that's down in 7th, 8th, 9th, but all eyes on the battle for the lead.
Yeah, 4 laps to go. The gap is 2.6 seconds. Not a good sign for Squeezy at the moment. And as you can see, coming through turn 3, this is where he's going to struggle. The thing is, though, Squeezy's got to be careful that he doesn't start aquaplaning, because that's a real risk when it happens. And there is Lambo coming into shot. 1.5 is the gap. And, well, this might be a case of when rather than if for Lambo. But Squeezy Lemon still in the lead. As you can see, those rear tyres are not gripping at all. Those tyres are just not suited for the conditions. He knew he had to take a risk, Squeezy. But this might have been just a risk too far. 0.8 of a second the gap now as we head down towards turn 10. And yeah, as you can see, through sector 2, 3.3 seconds off his own pace. But now Lambo has to do the hard part.
Pretty much pushing him through the final sector.
Absolutely. Lambo, does he try down the inside? No, he doesn't. Waiting for the main straight then, and Lambo is through. Of course, Squeezy has to brake earlier, and Lambo is through then with 4 laps to go. That's Light E into the wall now. Light E has retired from the session, and of course you can't ride on retired cars, so we won't know where, how and when that happened. But Light E has retired from the race, so he will not score any points in this race. Here comes Poe though, the next person to try and make a move on Squeezy. 1.2 is the gap, and Squeezy is really struggling. He could maybe hold on to 3rd place here. Technique is currently 12 seconds back from Poe, and the gap is falling away at the minute. And here comes Poe down the inside, and yeah, very late move. I'm not sure that was the cleanest of moves from Poe, but he is up a position. I'm into P2, and he wasted no time trying to get past there. Squeezy then down to P3. And Technique is the next person to try and catch him. 11.7 is the gap with 3 laps to go. That's more on the side of possibility. This could be a chance for Squeezy to try and grab a podium on tyres that are just not suited to these track conditions.
only thing that I'm thinking of now is whether Poe's 5-second penalty will get removed. If so, if the gap stays like this, then Poe will get the win. If the stewards decide to remove the penalty.
Absolutely, but, you know, Poe can't assume that the penalty will be removed. So he's got to at least try and win it on track. But the gap is falling away at the moment. 2.7 seconds is the gap between Lambo and Poe, with 2 laps to go. And a battle we're all watching is whether Squeezy can hold on to a podium on these intermediate tyres. He's doing a great job out there at the minute, keeping that car on the island. And Technique in 4th place, 9 seconds behind. He needs to close in 4.5 seconds per lap. And that seems doable in terms of Squeezy defending.
What's 8.5 seconds? And that gap is just going to keep going down and down.
Absolutely, it's really nail-biting stuff for Squeezy. He knows he has to keep it on the track at least, and he might have a chance of holding on to the podium. But he runs wide coming out of turn 9. Heart-in-mouth moment there for Squeezy. He's got to keep going. Got to keep it on the track. Lambo, meanwhile...
So far on his personal best time.
Absolutely. Well, Lambo is making his way through the final few corners around turn 16. And that's Alan Kay there. A back marker on intermediate tyres. Did not pit in that switchover window. Lambo will start the final lap of the race in the lead. Will he end it in the lead?
The gap's actually 4 seconds. Lambo been pushing quite a lot.
Absolutely, he is on.
Back marker traffic as well.
Yeah.
I think that was Plaster with a stop goal then.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's 5 seconds added on for him for ignoring blue flags. That's what race control says. So Lambo then still leading the way. Kept his cool there in what has been a race all about strategy. Coming through turn number 7, then through 8. Coming towards the right-hander of turn number 9. He set pole position, but by no means was that the only thing he had to do. This hasn't been a race that he's led from start to finish, but he has kept his cool, and in the face of Spike's adversity here, he's going to score some major points on a potential title rival. And Lambo now making his way towards turn 13, through the chicane of 14 and 15. He'll be hoping he's opened the gap up enough for those stewards, but coming around the final corner, Lambo comes towards the line to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Poe will come across the line in 2nd place, 4.3 seconds behind. Now, if that does go to the stewards, that will be the important factor, as Squeezy Lemon there holds on to a podium position on the intermediate tyres. And what a drive that was at the end of the day. Technique comes home in 4th place. Spike, starting from P15, recovers to P5 in a day of recovery. P5 for him. Steph eventually had a race of his own, tried the wet stint, was the first person to get it right, that switchover point, but he's just too far back to give a challenge to the cars ahead. He will come home in P6 though, and he can consider that job done. Round the final corner he goes, towards the line for P6. Good points there for Mercedes. And Z3, who stayed out on the intermediate tyres, looks like he will be the last of the lead lap finishers. Slightly on the grass there. Again, one of those drivers who didn't decide to pit in on the changeover window with about 6 laps to go. But he will come home in 7th place here. But your winner of the Spanish Grand Prix here today is Lambo. Well, Aaron, I think it's safe to say we had a very intriguing race, all about strategy, and at the end of the day, it was being on the right tyre at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. That's what got easy. Him making that 2-stop on 2 seconds cost him.
Absolutely. Well, he's got a podium. Might have had a race win today, but I think he'll be happy with the podium. A little bit of a frustrating race for him, but the official, unofficial results will be here as soon as the game loads. So there we are then. Lambo takes the win in these official, unofficial results. Poe is in second, Squeezy Lemon third, Technique in fourth, Spike in fifth, Steph in sixth, C3 in seventh, Allengate in eighth, Blaster in ninth, Maze in 10th, obviously as a ghost car. So his points will not count. Non-finishers Lighty, Ollie, Damien, George Roberts and Siege all retiring from the race. Well, Aaron, obviously the drivers will vote for their own driver of the day, but who would you say has been a standout performance?
I would say that would be
Yeah, I mean, Squeezy Lemon on the intermediate tyres towards the end of that race held his own out there as best he could, and I think a podium is nothing to shake your head at all. We'll come on to the interviews and see if anybody stays behind in the lobby. Of course, if you have any questions for the drivers that you want to ask them, now's your time to pop your questions in the chat. So we will be waiting to see who stays and who goes. I don't think we're going to get many interviews. We'll give it a couple more seconds. I tell you what, I've been really struggling with this. It must be a cold I'm coming down with. But anyway, I won't moan too much. So looks like we'll have two drivers in the comms box then. So let's get them. So we have, who is it? Steph and Z3. Let's see if we can invite them then. So the invite's been sent out. We'll see if either driver joins us. Hopefully we'll get joined. Here we go. First driver into the comms box after that race. That race all about strategy, and you must be soaked, Steph. I'll offer you a towel.
Yeah, that is strategy there, Kieran. I had to literally do what I had to do.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I was saying in the stream that you're probably one of the first drivers to correctly predict the changeover point. Were you expecting to gain some time on the cars ahead?
Well, obviously, with the cars ahead, like sort of Lambo and Bow and all that, they're just literally like quicker than me. All I was trying to do is just literally just get from start to finish, and being like wet conditions is normally like my specialty. So I just thought, okay, just keep the car on the ground, add a bit more aero, and just glide it home. And it's paid off. I had pace in it.
We saw your little battle with Spike early on in the race. That must have been a good one to be involved in.
Yeah, I was sort of like Spike catching up behind me, and
Interesting. Hopefully, are we still on air? We are still on air. How very strange. Okay, well that's that then. Apparently we're still on air. Let me give that a quick check. Are we still on air? I wonder. Well, looks like I'm having internet troubles.